The Indianapolis Motor Speedway is the second oldest racetrack in the world, as it was built in 1909, 2 years after the Brooklands racetrack in England. However, since Brooklands hosted its last race in 1939, the IMS holds the record for the oldest operating track in the world. With more than 250,000 permanent seats, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is the largest sports seating facility and hosts the largest single-day sporting event in the world, the Indianapolis 500. Indianapolis had by 1913 risen to second in the United States in terms of numbers of cars produced, and the track's original purpose was to serve as a common testing facility for the rapidly growing local automotive industry. Indianapolis businessman Carl Fisher first envisioned building the speedway in 1905, and his project was outlined to the general public a year later in an issue of Motor Age magazine. Fisher proposed building a circular track 3 to 5 miles long with smooth 100 to 150 feet wide surfaces. Fisher believed that such a track would give manufacturers a chance to test their cars at sustained speeds. Fisher also predicted speeds could reach up to 120 miles an hour on a 5-mile course. After visiting Brooklands in England in 1907, he became convinced of the importance of a banked layout, which he decided to apply to the IMS. Fisher began looking around the Indianapolis area for a site to build a racetrack, when he found a 328-acre farm about 5 miles outside of Indianapolis. At the end of 1908, he convinced 3 businessmen, Frank Wheeler, Arthur Newby, and James Allison, to purchase the farm for $72,000. Fisher's original design wanted the track to be a 5-mile oval. However, he changed his plan to feature a 3-mile oval with a 2-mile road course inside of it, which would create a 5-mile track when linked to the oval. New York civil engineer P.T. Andrews, whose job was to supervise the project, said that building a 3-mile outer track was in theory possible, but that the outside of the straightaways would be so close to the edges of the property that there would be no room for grandstands. Andrews suggested an outer track of 2.5 miles would fit perfectly and leave enough space to feature grandstands along the main straights. This change of plan had a knock-on effect on the road course, and the project was therefore abandoned. In March 1909, construction of the 2.5-mile racetrack began, using hundreds of workers and mules in order to reshape the land. The track was built using gravel, limestone, a solution of tar and oil, and crushed stone. 12,000 seats grandstands were also built. The first event ever held at the Speedway was not a motor race. Instead, it was a helium gas-filled balloon competition, which took place before the racetrack was completed, on Saturday the 5th of June 1909. The first motorsport event at the track was a motorcycle race, sanctioned by the Federation of American Motorcyclists, on the 14th of August 1909, and 7 competitors participated in the race. In 1913, 2 years after the first Indy 500 was run, the first pagoda was built at the start-finish line. However, due to its proximity to the racetrack, the pagoda was demolished for safety reasons, and a second pagoda was built further away from the track. In 1927, Fisher and Allison sold the track to former racing driver Eddie Rickenbacker, who had competed in most of the pre-World War I Indy 500s. Although Rickenbacker carried out many improvements, the track deteriorated a lot during 4 years of total inactivity caused by World War II. Indiana businessman Anton Holman Jr. purchased the IMS from Rickenbacker in November 1945, and made numerous improvements to the track in time for the race to be held in 1946. Patches of asphalt were applied to the turns in the spring of 1936, and within the next 5 years, all but a portion of the main straight was asphalt. Following the 1961 race, all but 3 feet of brick at the start-finish line were covered over with asphalt. The old wooden grandstands were also replaced with a huge double-deck stand of steel outside of Turn 1 in 1949. In 1957, the pagoda was replaced with a race control tower. A tower terrace and pit area were also built the same year. An 18-hole golf course, originally built in 1929 with 9 holes on the infield and 9 outside of the backstretch, was expanded to 27 holes in 1965, during the period when the track was hosting the PGA-sanctioned 500 Open. The site is still among the most visited attractions in the Indianapolis metropolitan area, with 1 million visitors annually. Following the deadliest Indy 500 in history, in 1973, where 2 drivers died and several spectators were injured, the speedway was upgraded in order to improve the safety of the drivers and the spectators. The inside wall located at the northwest corner of the track was removed. The pit entrance was widened. Retaining walls and catch fences were improved, and a flag stand for the race starter was built over the start-finish line. Seats close to the racetrack were also removed. In spring 1976, a museum was also built on the inside of the track, between turns 1 and 2. An infield road course had been in the original Fisher's design in 1909, but was never built. Then in 1998, it was announced that a deal had been reached to host a Formula 1 Grand Prix on a soon-to-be-built road course. The road course had many similarities with the 1909 concept, as it would be built in the infield and use a portion of the oval as well. In order to comply with the FIA requirements, modifications had to be made to pits and the pit lanes. The FIA required pit-side garages and a pit-side media center. To meet these Formula 1 rules, a new pagoda was built, replacing the 1957 control tower. The new pagoda included state-of-the-art facilities for race control, timing and scoring, and radio broadcast booths as well. It had 9 viewing levels and reached a height of 153 feet, with the flagpole on top extending up to 199 feet. Behind the new pagoda tower is the Pagoda Plaza area, a focal point for spectators who wish to take a break from viewing the on-track action. The Pagoda Plaza is fully landscaped with grass and a brick walkway shaped like the oval, and there are large video screens to show on-track action. After almost 75 years, the Holman George family sold the track to businessman Roger Penske, founder of the famous Penske racing team, with which he has won the Indianapolis 500 18 times to date. Penske's acquisition of the speedway was completed in January 2020. Before the start of practice for the 2020 Indianapolis 500, Penske had invested nearly $15 million to upgrade the facility. Improvements included adding 30 new LED video boards, 5 miles of new fencing, and remodeling 225 restrooms, as well as adding Verizon 5G internet service throughout the facility. Penske further enhanced the victory circle with a podium that hoists up the winning vehicle to the victory podium.